So I thought needed to make this video because I thought it would be important for me to make. I've talked about this subject before. It's a few days before January 6th. Same birthday as the father that raised me, Raymond Hernandez Palomo. And but this is going to be about they're shooting my calf muscles right now. So they'll shoot my calf muscle, and then the muscle twitches like that, and then they'll stop. And now they're shooting my bicep, and it's stinging really hard. And it's just like, oh, okay, well, the calf muscle, little baby calf, and then shooting your bicep by, and it hurts. They do all these crazy shit to me as I'm always trying to make these videos, and it feels like none of it is authentic because they want to help their white supremacists. That's exactly what it is. And, I think it's important for me to talk about my biological father at the moment because I repeat this before. I think I did make this in a video before. That I was working for PBK when I was 24 years old. And there was a guy that was sort of behaving like Barack Obama that I worked literally like right across from me, but like from a cubicle. And there were some other people in the Felipe, and there was a guy from like Africa, but they all had college degrees in architectural. At least that's what I thought. I think there were detectives and personal police department type of people. And what happens is when I'm working there, I recall there was a girl from Brazil, and this is one of the reasons I believe my biological father is from Brazil, because this lady, real pretty, I don't remember her name, light complected, she was from Brazil, and she was an architect. And I remember her working sort of behind me, but down one of the other cubicles. And I recall her, she said that she had just got married, or she had just gotten married, and she was pregnant, and she was working there, and she had just gotten pregnant, and she was probably like almost due for a baby. And she says, he goes, no, I'm from Brazil. He goes, no, my husband, he's from Brazil. And she said that her husband was from Brazil, and his name was Hector. And I go, oh wow, he goes, oh Hector, he goes, oh wow. And I didn't really think, because at this time I had no idea that my biological father isn't Raymond Palomo. For some reason no one ever informed me about that I had a different biological father, and I was treated different by everyone that knew about this. And I was persecuted, being slapped, I think George Bush's wife is named Barbara, and this is why this lady slapped me, because she wanted to take representation of George Bush's wife by saying that name, behaving like she was in charge of me, and then slapping me. So I thought it was important for me to talk about this because there was so much harassment. I had money stolen from me. It doesn't change the fact that what these people are doing, the time is gone. They're worthless motherfuckers are dead now. Patrick and his fucking twin, in most cases, those worthless motherfuckers are dead now. Who knows if this old trash that slapped me is even alive anymore. But they didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a shit. They go to church and they do this type of shit. It's no difference. They are more disgusting than the people that I knew that didn't go to church. And I think it's important for me to talk about because of that transgender that did that. Because when I'm working at PBK and I'm 24 years old, right after my bone marrow transplant, and I'm at Ridgeways, the lady says her name is Hector. And I remember that one of the architects were like, everybody kind of socialized a little bit, but not too much. They stayed to their work, but they talked here and there. And one of the people said, yeah, that guy, he's been in prison before. So this is one of the reasons why I also think that my biological father went to prison. And it now makes me think that if, they bring up these topics, that this may have that maybe my biological father had another kid. And when she had the baby, they announced it on the intercom, and I don't know if it was a boy or if it was a girl. Gosh, it was so long ago for me to remember that, if it was a boy or girl, because, I just know that they had a kid. And I remember them bringing up the dead little girl, Sarah Cooper's daughter, Marissa Miranda, her princess, her guardian angel, right? And, I think to myself, they're bringing this situation up because they want me to talk about it. Because they asked me, how many brothers and sisters do you have? He goes, all I had is, and this guy that looks like Barack Obama, or sort of behaving like him, walking and talking. And I went to eat at an Indian restaurant with him and some other guy that was driving like a Hummer. Like he drove, Anyway, I was... I thought it was important for me to talk about because, obviously this situation was a lot more intense and serious to what was going on. I had no clue, absolutely no clue. So I think it's important for me to talk about because I think if my biological father's still alive, I think he had another kid. And, in my opinion, if he's still alive, that's exactly what he would have done, in my opinion, because he's going to want to use the resources to keep him alive and keep going, because he's already demonstrated that at a very early age. And what's going to happen is he's coming out of prison, and that's what they would have wanted to do, because it sabotages the entire situation. This is not to work in my favor, and this is not to work against Sarah Cooper and Ken Cooper and Kenneth Cooper. This is to work against me and against my mother. So I think it's important, because I remember that guy, Hector, he showed up, and the way that he walked and the way he went about his business was very much kind of very close to what my biological father, Hector, would have been like. And I remember this. I remember, him sort of being shamed. And I remember looking at this guy, and his name was Hector, and I remember this guy, he was being shamed by all the faggots that were there. They were all gay, and most of them were, they were like shaming him like a pathetic straight man that was bigger than that was smaller than Ken Cooper and the Cooper family. And you could that's exactly what was going on. And the only luck that I had with this is that most of the people in there, at least half were Mexican and Latin. And that takes a huge advantage and a very good thing that something like that happens, because it is very important. Because there is a lot of racism, there is. Even though he had already a prior daughter with Michaela, unless they were talking about Michaela being that newborn baby. But in my opinion, if he wasn't still with that woman, I don't think he's been with that woman. I think he got her pregnant and at some point left. Maybe he went to prison, but I think he had another kid. I don't have any earthly idea to what those circumstances might be. But I remember they really the vibe in there was very belittling to him, like degrading, like he was just some stupid guy thinking that he was straight, that he had any power. It's the same thing like me and what they did. All the faggots, did what they did. And when you have a bunch of faggots like that, everything you ever do in life is always going to work against you. It doesn't matter. Their opinion is to what their breed and kind is. But I think it's important because, those are symptoms that made me think that my biological father was at least still alive during that time. Now, when I was 30. And I thought I'd share this, but when I was about 31, I was about 30 years old or 31, And this is the very beginning when I become like the worst of homeless. That means literally with a, travel luggage bag with little wheels on there, walking up and down the streets homeless. And then you shot my electronic device into my chest and it directed me to Jesus Christ again, huh? This is what these motherfuckers are always doing. If I didn't have this shit, they'd be torturing me and persecuting me in every fucking way. I swear to God, if I don't worship their God and tell them to do what they beat the fuck out of me. This is what they just beat the fuck out of me to tell me to fucking worship because they want to sacrifice me. And it's this old piece of shit downstairs that's fucking doing it. And all day when I'm inside this fucking apartment, they're just beating me with the electronic devices, directing me toward the cross. Jesus Christ. That's all they're fucking doing. And then persecuting me and accusing me and conditioning me, confining me, shooting these electronic devices. Like I can feel pain right here. Like they're shooting right now, sort of on my thumb, and now they shot my testicles. A minute ago, about 30 minutes ago, I was throwing the trash out. I walk outside. Well, this fucking old lady that lives over here is 104 years old. Puts an orange. My dad's favorite color was orange. This fucking lady puts a steel orange chair right next to, and I don't know if it was her or one of these other people that said it there, but they put it right there to make sure. Oh, that's a place for Sarah Cooper to shit on, against my mother and family, and that's how they do it. But I'm walking outside, get out of my apartment, and they shoot my testicle violently. And they do this because who's the biological who nutted into my mother and who's the real father? My mother, growing up my entire life, always told me this. She said, she always said that the father is someone who raised the child, not, that nurtured you and took care of you. That's who your father is. And that's what makes a father. And my mother used to say that my mother used to always say that, there's a lot of trash mothers out there that they throw all the money and bread on the table and just walk off. And those are filthy women, and those are real filthy women, and those are real filthy mothers that do that. And my mother always tried to credit herself that she was more than that. Obviously, Sarah Cooper took over for the white supremacists, and then she correlates herself and attaches herself to but through my father. But I thought it was important for me to talk about, they're violently shooting me. Like they keep shooting me in my fingers, and this is what they do. I'll be laying in bed, and I have to make a whole new video on this. I'll be laying in bed, and they'll shoot me the electronic devices, and they listen and they figure out what I do know about life. So in sign language, this means I love you. This is what this means. So they'll shoot violently on my nails, knowing that that's the interpretation, and then they'll make me shit. And then they'll direct me toward the crucifix. So they're forcing me, directing me who to worship. And at the very cores of existence of humans. When I'm dead, they couldn't tell me, could you tell me where my grandpa, where my dad, where my uncle that killed himself, where's Robert Zarate, where's Edward Rangel? Can you tell me where they're dead since you're so directed and understand where the fuck if we have souls? Can you tell me where the fuck these people are? They can't tell me a goddamn fucking thing, but can they beat the fuck out of me while I'm alive? So when I get ready to die, they want a trash can. That's what they fucking got. And that's what they're fucking doing. So, I think it's important because that's how they terrorize me. And they use all the subjects hitting my physical body. I call the phone. I've had numbers of threats of the same person calling me saying, yeah, you understand that, don't you? So they beat the fuck out of me to make sure I understand who to worship and how to practice and what to believe in. It's a constant day, every single day. Every fucking day I'm waking up. I don't wake up natural. I don't wake up anything. They'll shoot my lips. They'll shoot the bottom underneath my lip. They shoot my cheeks. They shoot my face. They shoot my testicles. They shoot my rectum. Different volumes, whether they want to violently shoot my rectum like I'm being raped or just a little bit, just to give it a little fuck in the ass. And they play these very sick games when they're shooting me with these electronic devices. And it's very prepared. It's just like when I made this black bean soup. When I almost finished the soup, I was moving some pots and pans or some items to like garnish or whatever. and all of a sudden I get like dizzy, or like I'm like almost knock over the entire soup after it's all completed. Well, 4 or 5 hours before I started making my soup yesterday, they threw a bunch of water and chlorine all over the inside of the bus. So they're already preparing this psychological thing to poison me by self-sabotaging me, knowing that they were going to cause me to knock over this meal that I had been making, that I paid a lot more money for, and in preparation, to then already priorly 3 hours before I even got all this food here from the grocery store on a bus, throw chlorine all over the floor. And it's very poison, psychological poison that they're doing. So I think it's very important for me to talk about these things, because the very real reality of this is there's a lot of important things that I desperately want to say, but it's taken so long because of the abuse and the entrapments and being homeless, that I don't have time to tell you what these people did, because they want their whites to get their favor, and they want their pigs to make sure they're going to get what they want. They already got their favors by infecting me with HIV and wanted to kill me. Treated me like shit. This is for their supremacy, and this is for political power. There isn't any fucking other reason for it. But that's how if I don't do what they tell me to do, and they beat me physically it hurts. Like it's a whiplash, like a slave. If you don't worship Jesus Christ like I fucking tell you, and what the Bible says, I'm gonna fucking hit you again. And so they violently shoot these electronic devices into my nails, making me think that it's mine, it's my decision, it's me, it's not me, and they're beating the fuck out of me. And they do this all day, every day. I get on the bus, I go to the grocery store, I don't really go any places, all throughout my apartment, to throw the trash away, or go downstairs to put a puzzle together, all fucking day. That's all they fucking doing. So I thought I would talk about it. I had some other subjects I wanted to talk about that are even more crucially important.